Chapter 251. Black Elia, who was standing on the telephone pole, seemed to have noticed Wu Ming looking at her. She immediately bent down and jumped away. Wu Ming parked the car in a nearby parking lot and got out. Wu Ming went directly to the roof of a building in the Pinnacle Garden Academy's elementary school. Wu Ming had a feeling that Black Elia must have come for Elia. Sure enough, Wu Ming discovered Black Elia hiding on the roof of the building opposite Elia's. Wu Ming gathered mana in his eyes and looked at Black Elia. Black Elia was looking at Elia, who was in the middle of class. Wu Ming could clearly see a trace of envy and unwillingness in Black Elia's eyes. Wu Ming exerted strength in his legs and jumped behind Black Elia. Black Elia quickly turned around vigilantly. When she saw that it was Wu Ming, her expression relaxed. "What? It's Big Brother," Black Elia said in a frivolous tone. Now Wu Ming was even more certain that Black Elia was Elia. Although her tone was frivolous, Wu Ming couldn't be wrong about the feeling that Black Elia gave him. "You're Elia, right?" Wu Ming asked. "As expected of my big brother. You can see my nature at a glance." "That's right, I'm Elia," Black Elia said happily. Wu Ming could see that this Elia in front of him also had special feelings for him. So Wu Ming stretched out a hand. "Then Elia, can you talk to me?" However, Black Elia chose to reject her beloved big brother. "Not now, big brother. Wait until Ilya gets rid of the other Ilya. That way, Ilya will be able to happily stay by big brother's side." Black Elia said something that Wu Ming didn't understand. Then, Black Elia suddenly jumped away and left. Wu Ming watched this scene quietly. He didn't stop Black Elia from leaving, nor did he say anything. He just thought. After a while, Wu Ming used teleportation portal to arrive at Zelika's room. Wu Ming's goal was to learn all the information about the sealed Fourth Holy Grail War. After communicating with Zelika again, Wu Ming obtained the information. Wu Ming returned to the empty Shoayu residence. After Wu Ming sent Mayu and Elia to school, Rin and Livia also went to school. Wu Ming had said that he would try to get in touch with the other Ilya, and told Rin Tasaka and the others not to worry about it, and to focus on going to school. That was why Rin Tasaka and Livia, who were supposed to take a leave of absence, went to school. Wu Ming sat on the sofa with a magic book in his hand. Zelik seemed to have guessed that Wu Ming would come back, so he prepared this magic book that recorded all the information in advance and handed it to Wu Ming when Wu Ming came. Turning the spellbook around, Wu Ming pondered over what Black Illyria had told him. Wu Ming didn't think that Black Elia was joking when she said get rid of Elia. However, Black Elia seemed to want to replace Elia, so she definitely wouldn't do it in public. Elia was currently in class, so Wu Ming believed that Black Elia wouldn't do it. Wu Ming spent almost half a day memorizing all the information in the book. "Kalas, have you recorded all this?" Wu Ming asked. "Yes, master, everything has been recorded." A golden dragon horn accessory appeared on Wu Ming's head. Then Wu Ming's hand that was holding the magic book instantly ignited with white flames. The magic book that recorded the information about the sealed Fourth Holy Grail War was burned by Wu Ming just like that. If the magicians saw this, they would be devastated. After all, every magic book was a precious existence. Even this magic book that could only record things was the same. Then, Wu Ming got up and walked out of the house. Near the Cluster Garden Academy's primary school. Just as Wu Ming thought, Black Elia didn't do anything to Elia in public. At this moment, Black Elia was sitting on a wall, swinging her legs in boredom, thinking about something. Wu Ming walked over. More importantly, Wu Ming was holding 2 ice creams in his hand. "Isn't this Elia? What a coincidence. Do you want an ice cream?" Wu Ming looked at Black Elia with a smile. "Big brother, are you here to stop me? I said that after I get rid of Elia, I'll listen to you obediently." Black Elia looked at Wu Ming with a vigilant smile. "I didn't say I was going to stop you. I just happened to run into you. And I happened to buy an extra ice cream, so I wanted to invite you to eat it with me. Besides, you can't do anything right now, right? Why don't you accept my invitation?" Wu Ming looked at Black Illyria with the same kind expression as before. Seeing that Big Brother is so sincere, I'll accept the invitation." After thinking for a while, Black Elia jumped off the wall and came to Wu Ming's side with a smile. "Let's go sit in the park," Wu Ming suggested. Black Elia naturally nodded. Wu-ming and Black Helia sat down on the chairs in the nearby park. Because it wasn't the weekend, the students basically had to go to class and work. Hence, the small park was empty. Here, this is strawberry flavored. Wu-ming put the pink ice cream in his hand in front of Black Helia. Wu-ming knew Elia very well. She often came to freeload on his food. She usually liked strawberry-flavored ice cream. Hence, Wu-ming guessed that Black Helia also likes strawberry-flavored ice cream. You're so considerate, big brother. You even know what kind of ice cream I like to eat. You don't have any thoughts about me, do you? Black Helia took off her clothes slightly and pretended to be seductive as she spoke. Smack. It hurts. Black Helia hugged her little head that Wu-ming had hit with his karate chop. Tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Wu-ming caught the strawberry-flavored ice cream that was thrown up because he wanted to hit Black Helia. Then he put it in front of Black Helia again. You're just an elementary school student. Don't pretend to be seductive in front of me. You're still 10 years away from that body of yours. Wu-ming teased. Emph. I want big brother to feed me. Hearing Wu-ming's words, Black Helia threw a tantrum. Wu-ming smiled helplessly, then put the ice cream in front of Black Helia's mouth. Ah. Black Helia took a big bite of the ice cream, as if the ice cream was Wu-ming. Speaking of which, I can't call you Elia. It's easy to confuse you with the other Elia. How about I call you Black Helia? After all, Black Helia's skin was much darker than Elia's. Elia's skin was snow white, while Black Helia's skin was a healthy dark color. Big brother is so annoying. Isn't Black Helia like a puppy? Black Helia said unhappily. Then, Black Helia's eyes lit up and she looked at Wu-ming with a smile. I've thought about it. My name will be Chloe. Chloe. Yes, Chloe von Erzbrunn. Chapter 252. Wu-ming looked at Chloe with a different gaze. Names were especially important things. Whether it was the true name of a follower, a word spirit based on a name, or a technique to curse others, a name was indispensable. Blackie gave herself a name, which meant that she didn't want to become Ilya or a substitute for Ilya. Instead, she wanted to become a person with a true meaning of existence. Well, but I can also specially allow Big Brother to call me Blackie. Blackie smiled and then took another bite of ice cream, revealing a happy expression. It's delicious. So Ilya wasn't wrong. Eating ice cream is this kind of enjoyment. Blackie couldn't taste the deliciousness before? Wu-ming asked with some heartache. If that was the case, then it was indeed a bit too much for Blackie. As expected, Big Brother already knows about me. Now there's a secret between Big Brother and me that even Ilya doesn't have. Blackie said with a grin. Wu-ming released his hand that was feeding Blackie the ice cream. The ice cream floated in the air as though a floating magic spell was cast. Then, Wu-ming placed his hand on Blackie's head and gently stroked it. It's been hard on you, Blackie. Wu-ming, who already knew everything, was qualified to say this. Then will Big Brother, who knows everything, stop me? Blackie looked at Wu-ming's eyes. Of course. Wu-ming said without hesitation. Then Big Brother is my enemy. Xiaohei looked at Wu-ming firmly and said in a tone that would not allow him to go back on his words. Now the atmosphere became a bit silent. However, grumble, grumble, grumble. The sound of a hungry stomach sounded and the silent atmosphere was broken. At this moment, Blackie and Wu-ming were both stunned. Wu-ming looked at Blackie's stomach with a polite smile and said, You probably haven't eaten since yesterday. Although Blackie was similar to a follower of a job class card, it was still half of Ilya's body. It was just relying on the archer job class card, so it naturally needed to eat. But after all, little Black was all alone. Not to mention a place to stay, he didn't even have money. How was he going to eat? Blackie nodded. After all, I don't have money, and I don't have a place to stay. Last night, I even spent it on the park bench that you were sitting on. Xiaohei said in a lonely voice. It's my fault. You didn't have to run away yesterday. I wouldn't have done anything to you. It's my fault for not stopping you. Wu-ming said as he let go of the ice cream in his other hand. The ice cream floated in the air like the previous ice cream. Then, Wu-ming gently patted Wu-ming's head. Let's go. I'll make it up to you today. You can eat whatever you want. Really? Big brother is the best. Xiaohei happily jumped into Wuming's arms. Wuming patted Xiaohei's head, and was even more determined to let Xiaohei live a peaceful life. In the next half a day, Wuming took Xiaohei to eat almost all the famous food in Winterwood City. Then Wuming took Xiaohei to the amusement park and had a good time. As for Xiaohei's clothes, Xiaohei easily used magic to project his clothes into home clothes. When it was almost late, Wuming took Xiaohei back to Shupyu's house. Are you happy today, Xiaohei? Wuming held Xiaohei's hand and smiled gently. Yes, I'm really happy with Big Brother. At this time, Xiaohei didn't look like the person who threatened to kill her. Then I'll make you a delicious dinner when we get home. Wuming tightly held Xiaohei's hand. Big Brother brought me home to stop me from getting rid of Ilya? Big Brother is really cunning. He actually set a trap for me here. Xiaohei felt that she couldn't pull her hand away and said gloomily. The two who were originally walking stopped. To be precise, it was Xiaohei who stopped. Wuming also stopped. Xiaohei, I'm not stopping you. I'm protecting you. Wuming turned around and squatted down, looking at the unhappy Xiaohei and said, even if you took away 2/3 of Ilya's magic circuit and greatly reduced her strength, you still can't underestimate her. After all, Ilya has the help of Meiyu, Rin Enbin and Livia. Trifling magical girls. As long as I snatch their stellar magic staff, they will be completely useless. Xiaohei said, somewhat unconvinced. As for those two idiots, I don't think they can pose any threat to me. Looking at Xiaohei, who was like a proud little black cat, Wuming smiled and shook his head. You can't underestimate them. No matter what, they are also experienced magicians. Magicians who can survive in the magic world can't be underestimated, including the somewhat silly-looking Rin Enbin and Livia. Although they are sometimes unreliable, if you underestimate them, you will suffer a big loss. After all, the fact that the two idiots could survive in the magic world can be said to be a miracle in itself. Cough cough. Then I really have to thank Big Brother for reminding me. After saying that, Xiaohei instantly disappeared in front of Wuming. Space teleportation. Wuming's eyes widened. The disappeared Xiaohei appeared on a wall near Wuming. How did you do it? I don't remember that Archer, being able to teleport. Wuming looked at the proud Xiaohei and asked curiously. Wuming wanted to leave Big Brother, so I was able to do this. Xiaohei's words made Wuming a little concerned. Could it be Xiaohei's original characteristic? Wuming thought in his heart. I didn't expect Xiaohei to be able to do this, it's really impressive. Wuming pretended to be helpless and said, Big Brother, you must be planning something, I won't be fooled again. After saying that, Xiaohei was about to leave. But, clatter. The sound of chains came from all around Xiaohei. The moment Xiaohei was about to turn around, Xiaohei was tied up. Big Brother, do you think this can stop me? Xiaohei said with a smile, then began to gather magical power to use space teleportation. But did you find that you can't use your magical power, Xiaohei? Wuming said with a slight smile. Damn it. Big Brother, you're bullying me. Xiaohei resisted. It couldn't be helped. Who asked Enkidu to have evolved to the effect of sealing magical power? Xiaohei, who had the skill Mind's Eye Pseudo, naturally noticed the incoming chains. Relying on his space teleportation, Xiaohei didn't teleport away, but accepted the binding of Enkidu. In the end, Xiaohei didn't know that Enkidu could seal magical power, so Xiaohei was once again caught by Wuming. Just accept your fate, Wuming said with a smile, then carried Xiaohei, who was bound by Enkidu, on his shoulder. Big Brother is a bad guy. Chapter 253. Shuasuki Residence. Ilya and the others came here after school because they received news from Wuming. Wuming and Little Black sat in the main seats while Ilya, Meiyu Rin Enbin, and Livia sat around Wuming and Little Black, looking at Little Black as if they were looking at a monkey. At this moment, Little Black and Wuming were sitting together with a chain on their wrists. After all, Heaven Lock, Enkidu, evolved from Enkidu's soul coiling around Wuming's arm. Naturally, it started from Wuming's arm. And Wuming used Heaven Lock, Enkidu, to bind Little Black, so it was inevitable that the two of them would be bound together like in the picture. Taking a closer look, you really look exactly the same as Ilya. Rin Enbin poked Little Black's cheeks and said curiously, I'm not a rare animal. Don't touch me like this, Little Black said unhappily. After all, she was forcefully kidnapped by Wu Ming. Of course, she would be unhappy. Apart from the color and tone, you are indeed exactly the same as Ilya, Livia added. Come to think of it, I feel a little awkward looking at myself, Ilya said weakly. Are you all right, Ilya? Mayu sniffed worriedly. During the day, Ilya's mind wandered more than once and was punished by the teacher. Thinking about it, it was actually quite simple. Ignoring the sudden appearance of Blackie's doppelganger, Ilya didn't have a good night's sleep after Wu Ming told her about the Ahrensburg family. Anyone would be concerned about such a situation. It would be a lie to say that I'm fine. I really miss the ordinary life of the past. At this moment, Little Black was a bit unhappy after hearing Ilya's words. In an instant, Little Black hugged Wu Ming's arm and kept rubbing against it. Big brother, I don't have enough mana. Let's replenish it. Replenish mana? Rin Enbin and Livia exclaimed. Ilya and Mayo's faces instantly turned red. After being told the meaning of mana replenishment, they became very shy. If Xiaohei is really like a class card, then it really needs to be replenished. After all, the position of the class card is basically the position of the spiritual pulse. With the supply of mana from the spiritual pulse, the servant of the class card incarnation doesn't have to worry about the consumption of mana. Livia analyzed. No, I can't. I can't accept using my face to replenish my mana with Big Brother, Ilya said with a tone that sounded like she was about to cry. I don't think it's a good idea either, Mayu said in the smallest voice she had ever used since Wu Ming adopted Mayu. Wu Ming knocked on Little Hei's head. Heavenlock, Enkidu, has sealed away all of your remaining mana. You now have enough mana to support it. Little Black became even more unhappy. This time he turned his head especially hard. Don't let me find a chance, or I will definitely kill you, Ilya, Little Black said fiercely. However, Ilya was somewhat disappointed and lowered her head. Ilya, who knew a lot of things, could almost understand the reason why Little Black wanted to kill her. Little Black was probably the personality of the Little Holy Grail. This was what Ilya thought. Wu Ming touched Ilya's head to cheer her up, and then began to explain the complete story about Little Black. 10 years ago, in order to let their daughter grow up like an ordinary person, Ilya's parents sealed away the memories and abilities of the next Little Holy Grail. As an artificially created Little Holy Grail, Ilya had been instilled with all of the knowledge about the Holy Grail War by the House of Einstein barons since birth. After the Holy Grail War was sealed away forever, in order to let their daughter grow up healthfully, Ilya's parents sealed away this portion of memories and abilities in Ilya's body. In the past 10 years, a new personality was successfully born. This personality absorbed the sealed memories and knowledge, and watched Ilya's daily life from the perspective of a bystander. And because Ilya came into contact with magic, this seal began to weaken. It was only when Ilya received the backlash of the mana from the ley line, and the mana fluctuations caused by Wu Ming's return that this seal was completely broken. Simply put, Little Black is case Ilya, right? Rin and Osaka pulled out a pair of glasses out of nowhere, and put them on as he spoke with a serious expression. Although I don't want to admit this, it's the truth, Wu Ming said helplessly. It's just that this case automatically restarted during the process of being abandoned. That's what it means, Livia added. And the reason why Little Black wants to kill Ilya is to replace her and live an ordinary life? Mayu asked. Wu Ming shook his head. Maybe, it's just a simple imbalance in her heart. Hearing this, Little Black lowered her head. Wu Ming touched Little Black's head helplessly and began to speak. You're so negative already? This isn't the style of a big brother's little sister. Wu Ming teased Little Black half-jokingly. Hey Little Black, do you know why I didn't hesitate to choose to stop your plan to kill Ilya? I don't know, and I don't want to know. In any case, I can't escape anymore. You can do whatever you want with me, Little Black said in despair. In response, Wu Ming waved his hand and stopped the few who wanted to say something. You're wrong if you think that way. Little Black, feel it now. I've already removed the Heaven Lock Enkidu. S restriction on mana. You can now use mana. Hearing Wuming's words, Little Black operated the magic circuit and found that she could really use mana. Big brother, you're so confident in me? Aren't you afraid that I'll find an opportunity to assassinate Ilya after escaping? When she said the 3 words Ilya, Little Black pretended to glare fiercely at Ilya. But even so, Little Black had no intention of using space teleportation to escape. Listen to me, Little Black. Wuming removed the heaven lock Enkidu from Little Black. I stopped you from killing Ilya because she's my younger sister, so I have to protect her. But at the same time, as Ilya's Little Black, you're also my younger sister. Thus, I have to save you. Wuming looked at Little Black with a firm gaze. Wuming was also moved by Little Black's seriousness. At this time, Ilya also opened her mouth. I'm really sorry, Little Black. Ilya sat down on the ground and faced Little Black. I know about the House of Einstein Barons. Although I don't know how long you've been in my body and I don't know about the sufferings you've experienced, you still suffered because of me. No matter what, I have to bear a certain amount of responsibility. It could only be said that the girl who had experienced hardships had finally matured a little. Wuming looked at Ilya with gratification. The emotions in Little Black's eyes became even more obvious. After all, as Ilya's half-body, Little Black's character and moral character definitely wouldn't be bad. How about it, Little Black? Think about it. Wuming looked at Little Black with a smile. Little Black fell into contemplation. Chapter 254. Ilya raised her head and looked at Blackie. After a moment, Blackie spoke. Then let me ask you a question, Ilya. What question? Ilya swallowed her saliva and asked nervously. What is your current wish? Blackie looked at Ilya with a serious expression. My current wish is probably to return to my previous life, I guess. Ilya was vexed as she pondered deeply before giving her answer. Wuming wasn't surprised when he heard this answer. After all, Ilya was just an ordinary primary school student. She was suddenly drawn into the life of a magician, and this caused her to be exhausted. Just like how we would usually think, how good would it be if I didn't do that thing? But hearing Ilya's answer, Blackie lowered his head gloomily. As expected, we can't coexist. In an instant, a large amount of magic power erupted from Blackie's body. What? Ilya said in a panic. Calm down, Blackie. Rinenbin, who could only use his hand to shield his eyes due to Blackie's super high magic power eruption, advised. Luvia and Mayu were the same. In fact, Mayu showed signs of retreating, let alone Ilya, who was just an ordinary person not long ago. Blackie, calm down. Wuming placed his hand on Blackie's shoulder. It had to be said that Wuming, who was the closest to Blackie, wasn't affected at all. Although he was still angry, Blackie didn't want to disappoint his big brother's trust in him, so he tried his best to retract his magic power. Wuming believed that Blackie wouldn't casually use his magic power to deal with Ilya, so he removed Enkidu. Blackie didn't want to disappoint Wuming. Blackie shifted his position angrily and leaned closer to Wuming. At the same time, he turned his head to the side and stopped looking at Ilya. Wuming smiled and patted Blackie's head, indicating that Blackie didn't let him down. Blackie puffed out his chest proudly. Then Wuming looked at Ilya. Ilya, although I know that you didn't mean to say what you just said, do you know what it means? Looking at the serious Wuming, Ilya didn't know what to do. You want to return to your previous life because you realize that the world of magicians is abnormally chaotic. But this also means that you want to deny our relationship because you only knew us after entering the world of magicians. To Xiaohei, you are denying her existence. Rin Enbin and Livia nodded in agreement with Wuming's words. Only Mayu didn't express anything, quietly listening to Wuming's speech. Wuming's words stunned Ilya, but she immediately reacted. No, big brother, Sister Mayulin, Sister Livia, I didn't mean that. Ilya looked as if she was about to cry and looked at Xiaohei pleadingly. I'm sorry, Xiaohei, that's what I meant. Then, Ilya really started crying. I know that I'm very clumsy. I like to sleep in the morning, and often can't get up. I'm also not proficient in cooking and often act rashly. Most of the time, I'm not frank. Ilya practically revealed all of her shortcomings. But I really don't mean to deny you. So please stay. I'll do my best to live with you. Please. In the end, Ilya directly bowed 90 degrees and faced Xiaohei. After all, you can't expect a primary school student to think so much. Ilya was purely reminiscing about the past and didn't mean to deny Wu Ming and the others, nor did she mean to deny Xiaohei. Wu Ming helped Ilya up, wiped her tears, and looked at Ilya with some heartache. All right, Ilya, we're not saying that you've made a mistake or anything. I just want you to understand that even though there are many times in life where you wish to return to the past or start over due to regret or other reasons, in this life that you've already lived and started, there are still many benefits that outweigh the disadvantages. You've met Lin, Livia, Meiyu and me. Even the sealed Xiaohei has obtained freedom. At that point, Wu Ming turned to look at Xiaohei, who was looking at Ilya with some worry. Xiaohei, who was discovered, instantly blushed and turned her head away again. Wu Ming smiled and continued to speak to Ilya. During this period of time, you've indeed encountered many dangers, some of which even threatened your life. But the gains during this period of time aren't something that others can give you. In the end, Wu Ming cupped Ilya's beautiful face and looked at her slightly swollen eyes. Wu Ming said an extremely important sentence. This is the treasure of a lifetime. You have to remember to cherish it. I understand, big brother. I won't say such words again. I will cherish it. Seeing that Ilya had stopped crying, Wu Ming turned to Xiaohei. So Xiaohei, what do you think? Facing such a situation, Xiaohei couldn't say anything. Just like that, Wu Ming specially prepared a sumptuous dinner for Xiaohei. This time everyone didn't play until the middle of the night like last time. But I want to live with big brother. Xiaohei hugged Wu Ming's arm with a smile, unwilling to let go. Wait, girls can't be so unreserved. Hurry up and let go of me. Ilya held Xiaohei's hand with a slightly red face and a rather embarrassed and angry expression. Ilya, you're too much. I can't live in Ilya's house. Don't tell me Ilya wants me to sleep on a park bench? That's too much, Ilya. Xiaohei's words stunned Ilya. Fortunately, Ilya was quick-witted and quickly spoke. Then you can also live in big sister Livia's house. Why must you live in big brother's house? Ilya said with embarrassment and anger. It's fine if it's me. Livia expressed that she didn't care. But I need to replenish my mana. Livia's mana isn't enough for me. I'm an existence that relies on the Archer class card. Only Big Brother's mana can maintain my existence. If I don't have mana and Big Brother isn't by my side, I might die. Ilya is really cruel. Is it that serious? Ilya was a little flustered. Of course, Xiaohei's claim that only Wu Ming's mana could provide Xiaohei with mana was wrong. In fact, with Xiaohei's current mana, as long as she didn't use her mana in battle, it wouldn't be a problem to maintain her existence for a few days. But right now Xiaohei was indeed at a critical point. In addition to the mana explosion just now, if she were to fight again, she might directly disappear. Most importantly, Wu Ming said that Xiaohei was his younger sister, so it wasn't a big deal for his younger sister to live with him. Alright, let Xiaohei stay. She is indeed lacking in mana now. Wu Ming spoke up for Xiaohei. Oh okay, but Xiaohei, you can't mess around with Big Brother. Ilya was still a little worried. Although they had just met, Ilya could already feel Xiaohei's mischievousness. That will depend on my mood. What a sly answer. Amid the noise, the Shoyu residence returned to its happy time. Chapter 255. The next morning, Wu Ming took Little Black and Meiyu from the Shuoyue residence to the Suigun Garden Academy. At this moment, Little Black, like Meiyu, was wearing the uniform of the Suigun Garden Academy primary school. This was Wu Ming's decision to let Little Black go to school. After all, Little Black could be very envious of Ilya's daily life. Wu Ming had long noticed this. As for the enrollment procedures, Wu Ming said that he knew some people in Winterwood City. Of course, Wu Ming's methods were all formal methods. Yes, that's right. Humph 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 humph. Little Black held Wu Ming's hand and hummed happily. Are you that happy, Little Black? Wu Ming asked. It's okay. I used to watch Ilya go to school in the third person. Now that I can experience it myself, it's inevitable that I'm a little excited. Then have a good experience of school life, Wu-Ming said with a smile. Yes, yes. I will cherish it, big brother, Little Black replied. At this moment, Wu-Ming noticed that Meiyu, who was holding his other hand, was a little absent-minded. What's wrong, Meiyu? Wu-Ming asked with concern. It's nothing, brother Wu-Ming. Meiyu shook her head. Wu-Ming smiled. You don't look fine at all. However, even if Meiyu didn't say it, Wu-Ming could more or less guess. It was nothing more than Little Black and Ilya's identity as the Holy Grail that touched Meiyu. I will protect you. Whether it's you, Little Black, or Ilya. I have the strength to protect you now. Wu-Ming let go of Meiyu's hand and patted Meiyu's head. Oh, Meiyu is so cunning. Big brother, I want it too. Little Black shook Wu-Ming's hand and said coquettishly. Yes, yes, Wu-Ming smiled helplessly, let go of Little Black's hand, and patted Little Black's head. At this moment, Wu-Ming found that the three had already arrived at school. Then Meiyu, Little Black, see you in the afternoon. Wu-Ming waved at the two. Yes, brother Wu-Ming, big brother, goodbye. After Wu-Ming left, he took out his phone and made a phone call. Yes, yes, this is Einsteinberg. A lively female voice came from the other end of the phone. This is Wu-Ming. Soon Wu-Ming made the call. Wu-Ming returned to Shoyu's house, opened Dragonist, and took out some precious items that Wu-Ming collected over the years. The reason why Wu-Ming did that was because Wu-Ming was going to make an item in his magic workshop. Last night, Wu-Ming transferred a lot of magical power to Little Black by entering Magician's avatar, and also cast a blessing on Little Black. However, no matter how long the blessing was, there was a time limit. After all, Little Black was still a servant, and it was a special kind of servant that consumed magical power all the time. Although Wu-Ming and Little Black could sign a contract, and Little Black's magical power was provided by Wu-Ming, Wu-Ming thought of a way to solve the problem. That was, to make an item that could automatically generate magical power, turn it into an organ similar to a magic circuit, and implant it into Little Black's body. In this way, Little Black would naturally be free. It took almost 2 or 3 hours. Wu-Ming had a stone full of Lune runes in his hand. Fortunately, this body is a caster magician class, and it has the skill item creation, and I have your help, Collis. Otherwise, it will take me a few days to complete this item. At this time, Collis turned into a dragon horn crown with wings and floated beside Wu-Ming. No, master, with your wisdom, even without me, you can complete it in a short time. Ha ha ha, you think too highly of me, Kelly. I do have wisdom, but compared to you, I'm still far behind. The magic attire made by Zelik should not be underestimated. Ruby and Sapphire could instantly turn an elementary school student into a magical girl, who could easily suppress a first-class magician, which was enough to show the power of the magic attire made by Zelik. As a magic attire made by Zelik for Wu-Ming, Collis's value was even higher than Ruby and Sapphire. After all, Ruby and Sapphire were used for battle, and Kelly was a special accessory. Moreover, Kelly had evolved into a silent noble phantasm, so she was no longer in the category of accessories. Seriously speaking, Kelly could now be considered as an elf. There's still some time before Ilya and the others finish school, just enough time to prepare for the parallel world. The parallel world that Wu-Ming mentioned was naturally Julian, and the black mud born from the root. Wu-Ming came to the door of the room in the center of the Shoyu mansion. This room was just an ordinary bedroom, but Wu-Ming stretched out his hand and muttered something. Then, the door of the room opened automatically, revealing a futuristic-looking control room. However, the color of the control room was stone-colored, as if it was some ancient technology. This was a place that even Meiyu didn't know about. Wu-Ming used spatial technology to superimpose a layer of space on the foundation of the original room. This layer of space was used as the control room of the Shoyu mansion. A magician's magic workshop generally had various traps that increased the owner's attack power and weakened the enemy. As Wu-Ming's magic workshop, the Shoyu mansion was naturally not ordinary. As early as when Wu-Ming built this magic workshop, Wu-Ming began to build this control room. Wu-Ming was not the kind of person who would not fight back after being beaten. Wu-Ming set up this magic workshop for offense, not defense. There was a large platform in the center of the control room, and at the edge of the control room were unknown instruments. The upper limit was clearly engraved with lines. Inside the control room, Wuming took out the staff of Ain's Olone and the nameless spellbook. Wuming placed the staff of Ain's Olone in a long transparent cylinder, and the staff of Ain's Olone floated up. The nameless spellbook was placed by Wuming in a groove of a control panel. Then, Wuming sat on a platform in the center of the control room. This platform was similar to a sacrificial altar, and Wuming designed it to control the entire magic workshop with thought. After Wuming sat on the platform, he connected a line to his wrist, and a large amount of magic was transmitted to the control room. The whole control room began to operate on its own as if it had come over. The 7 gems on the staff of Ain's oral gown began to light up, and the entire staff began to glow with a myriad of colors. The nameless spellbook turned pages automatically, and countless words emerged from it, and were absorbed by the lines on the control panel. Wuming used the staff of Ain's Olone as a key to store the countless high-level spells in the nameless spellbook into the Shiryu mansion, turning it into a cannon that could release countless high-level spells. Most of the magic transmitted was stored. After all, it was impossible to release countless high-level spells without the support of magic. This mobile cannon would become terrifying under the control of Wuming in the future. Chapter 256. In the beginning, Wuming also wanted to equip the Shuoyue residence with an engine with infinite magic power, which could provide infinite magic power for the casting of magic. However, Wuming really could not make a device that could instantly extract and provide almost infinite magic power. The reason why he could make the so-called infinite magic power device for Little Black was only because the device would restore magic power to Little Black bit by bit. Simply put, it was the same as an ordinary magic circuit, storing magic power and slowly and automatically recovering it. The magic power supply device needed by the Shuoyue residents needed to extract unimaginable magic power in an instant. If it was a device that slowly and automatically recovered magic power, the Shuoyue residence was naturally equipped with it. However, there was no magic power device that could instantly produce unimaginable magic power. It was like a faucet. The size of the faucet and the pipe related to the amount of water produced. If it was a very thin pipe and a very small faucet, then the amount of water produced would be pitifully small. If it was a large pipe that was a few meters thick and a large faucet with a diameter that was also a few meters, the amount of water produced would definitely be much more. In Wuming's current view, the so-called magic power perpetual motion machine that could provide infinite magic power was only Wuming himself. As the root dragon, Wuming's magic power could be said to be infinite. The reason for this was that Wuming's magic power was really too much. Magic power recovery was far greater than magic power use, so Wuming had never worried about magic power issues. In short, Wuming could not make a device that provided infinite magic power. Therefore, Wuming came here whenever he was free and constantly stored magic power in the Shuoyue residence's magic power warehouse. With the staff of Ain's Olgown as the key, the nameless spellbook as the attack text, and Wuming's infinite magic power as the driving force, this constructed a mobile, high firepower, infinite magic power turret. It was almost time for the elementary school of the Sui Kun Garden Academy to be dismissed. Wuming stopped the infusion of magic power, removed the wires on his arm, walked down the altar, and left the room. Wuming kept the brilliance of Ain's Oalgo and the nameless spellbook. Previously, Wuming had always been here, but when Wuming left, he took the 2 treasures away. The scene changed, and Wuming drove to the entrance of Sui Kun Yuan Primary School. After a few minutes, the school bell rang. Looking at the children coming out one after another, Wuming began to miss them. At this time, Wuming saw Ilya and the others come out. However, the situation was not looking good. Ilya looked at Little Black angrily, while Little Black had a happy smile on his face. Mayu sighed helplessly at the side. Needless to say, Xiaohei must have provoked Ilya on purpose. Although Wuming and Blackie had only been together for a few days, Wuming understood Blackie's mischievous nature very well. Wuming helplessly shook his head. Wuming opened the door, got out of the car, and walked towards Ilya and the others. From afar, Blackie discovered Wuming. "Big brother." Blackie waved his small hand and ran towards Wuming. Ah, it's Big Brother Blackie, don't run. Ilya also discovered Wuming, but after seeing Blackie run away, she immediately chased after him. Really? Mayu helplessly smiled and then ran after him. Big Brother Blackie missed you so much. Blackie can't wait to replenish his mana. Let's start now. Blackie hugged Wuming and rubbed against Wuming's chest. Then he said something that made Ilya furious. No. Blackie. How can you be so unrestrained? Even if you want to replenish your mana, you can't do it on the streets. Ilya's face was flushed red. She instantly pounced on Wuming and stopped Blackie. Woo. Brother Wuming. Mayu ran over. She did not even have time to catch her breath. Yo Mayu. Wuming greeted Mayu. Then Wuming pulled Blackie and Ilya, who were lying on his body, away and squatted down. Alright, it's time to go home. I drove here today. Blackie was excited again. Then, I want to sit in the front passenger seat. Blackie raised his small hand and said excitedly. Damn it, Blackie is so cunning. I want to sit in the front passenger seat too. Ilya fought for him. I said it first. I want to sit in the front passenger seat. I don't want to. Wuming smiled helplessly. Then he pulled Mayu's hand. Mayu will sit in the front passenger seat today. Mayu was shocked. Why is it like this? Ilya said with some regret. As expected, Mayu is the difficulty in getting Big Brother. Blackie said helplessly. Get me? What are you guys up to now? Wuming pretended to be serious as he looked at Ilya and Blackie. It's fine. Let's go, Big Brother. That's right. It's better to go home quickly. Blackie and Ilya echoed each other. Wuming flicked Blackie and Ilya's foreheads. Ignoring Blackie and Ilya's screams, Wuming pulled Mayu toward the car. On the road, Wuming sat in the driver's seat and drove the car steadily. Mayu sat in the front passenger seat with a calm expression. Xiaohei and Ilya, on the other hand, sat obediently in the back row, looking like obedient girls. Later, Ilya will stay at my house and accompany Mayu. I need to do something with Blackie later. I've already spoken to Sarah for you. So sudden? I understand. Although Ilya was somewhat puzzled, she still nodded obediently. Mayu, I've already prepared the meal. I've already used magic to keep it warm. You and Ilya can eat directly after you go back. There's no need to wait for us. Wuming said to Mayu without turning his head. I understand, Brother Wuming. Mayu nodded her little head. Big Brother, what are you bringing me to do? It can't be something embarrassing, right? Blackie pretended to be shy as she touched her face. How could it be? Big Brother isn't that kind of person. Also, don't do these shameful actions again. Ilya blushed again because of Little Black. I won't. Soon, accompanied by Ilya's helpless screams and Black's smug laughter, Wuming drove to the Shoyu residence. Then we'll be leaving first, Wuming said to Mayu and Ilya, who got out of the car. Okay. Goodbye, Brother Wuming. Big Brother, be careful on the road. Wuming waved his hand and started the car. Then where are you bringing me, Big Brother? Blackie sat in the front passenger seat and became serious. To see someone who's rather special to you, Blackie. Chapter 257. Wuming brought Little Black to a place, a small park near the school. At this moment it was evening. For some reason, there was almost no one around. Wuming got out of the car and held Little Black's hand. Is the important person Big Brother mentioned here? Little Black looked up with a puzzled expression. However, Wuming did not answer Little Black's question. After walking a few steps, Wuming stopped. At the same time, Little Black, who was being held, also stopped. We're here. Little Black looked ahead. A noble lady with long snow-white hair was standing under the setting sun, waiting quietly. Just like when she saw Wuming and Little Black, the noble lady looked over and smiled. Liar, liar. Why are you here? Mother. That's right. Standing in the small park and waiting quietly was Little Black's mother, also Ilya's mother, Alice Phil von Erzburen. It's Mother, Ilya. No, it's Chloe-chan. Alice Field greeted Xiaohei with a smile. Blackie was at a loss of what to do. It was as if its legs were rooted to the ground and could not move. Why is Mother here? Little Black was at a loss as he spoke. It's because Mr. Wooming called me. Only then did I know that so many things had happened to my daughter. Aliceville said as she walked toward Wooming and Little Black step by step. Big brother. Little Black looked at Wooming with a wronged expression. Wooming patted Little Black's head, then gave Little Black's hand to him. After all, your real home is not here, Little Black. Also, you've always wanted to see your mother. Big brother. Wooming looked at Little Black with an encouraging gaze. Then Little Black nodded silently and looked at Aliceville, who was walking over. Wooming left the small park and returned to the car, giving the mother and daughter some space. Through the car window, Wooming looked at Little Black, who had begun to cry, and Aliceville, who was comforting Little Black and wiping her tears. As early as noon, Wooming had set up a spell to disperse idle people here. Therefore, Wooming was not worried that someone would barge in and ruin the atmosphere between Little Black and Aliceville. At noon, Wooming found Aliceville's phone number from the information he asked from Zelik and called her. Then, Wooming told Aliceville about what had happened to Ilya during this time. Although Aliceville expressed that she was surprised, Wooming didn't believe that Aliceville didn't know about his daughter's situation during this time. As early as 10 years ago, the House of Einstein-Baron's family had disappeared. That was what he told Wooming. The House of Einstein-Baron's family has disappeared. Wooming could more or less guess. It was nothing more than being eliminated by her parents, who wanted to protect Ilya through some means. The seal of the Holy Grail War was probably also facilitated by Ilya's parents. Wooming expressed that he wanted Little Black to meet Aliceville, and Aliceville readily agreed. As a result, the previous scene appeared. Little Black seemed to be relieved and gave up the idea of getting rid of Ilya. But that was only because Wooming was here. From the moment Little Black was born, her meaning was denied. Until now, the reason why Little Black wanted to kill Ilya was because Little Black was unwilling. Why can she have a family but I can't? Why can she have friends, but I can't? Why can she have the right to enjoy daily life, but I can't? Why can she be loved by Big Brother, but I can't? This was Little Black's unwillingness. Now Little Black already had family, friends, daily life, and even Wooming's love. However, maternal love was the only thing that Wooming couldn't give, and maternal love was what Little Black lacked the most. Through the car window, Wooming saw that Little Black had already thrown herself into Aliceville's arms and was crying. Aliceville patted Little Black's back. It seemed that Little Black and Aliceville had reconciled. Now, the breath that Little Black held in her heart had been released. Looking at the mother and daughter hugging each other, Wooming couldn't help but think of Mayu. Wooming took out his phone and dialed Mayu's number. Brother Wooming? Mayu's puzzled voice came from the other end of the phone. Wooming vaguely heard Ilya's voice asking, "Is that Big Brother?" Mayu, No, it's fine. Let's go see the sea this weekend, just the two of us. There was a rush of breathing from the other end of the phone. Then, a joyful voice came from the other end of the phone. Okay. At night, Wooming drove back to the Shoyu residence alone. Little Black, who was relieved with Aliceville, had already gone home with Aliceville. This was also the reason why Wooming let Ilya stay in his house. Let Little Black enjoy maternal love alone tonight. After getting out of the car, Wooming pushed open the door of the Shoyu residence and walked in. As soon as Wooming entered, he saw Mayu sitting alone on the side edge looking at the moon. Mayu, why aren't you sleeping yet? Wooming walked to the side edge and sat beside Mayu. I want to sleep with Brother Wooming tonight, Mayu said with a slightly red face. In response, Wooming smiled and patted Mayu's head. Then let's do it together. Okay. Mayu smiled. Her smile was very beautiful. Now the depression in Mayu's heart for the past few days was also vented. The next day, at the entrance of the primary school of the Sway Garden Academy. Hey. Ilya's surprised voice came. Wooming held Mayu and Ilya's hand. Opposite him was Aliceville and Little Black, who was holding Aliceville's hand. At this moment, Little Black's face was filled with a smug smile as she looked at Ilya. Long time no see, Ilya-chan, Aliceville greeted Ilya happily. Mom. Why is Mom here? When did you come back? Also, why was Little Black sent to school by Mom? Ilya said with some jealousy. That's because I'm Mom's real daughter. Ilya is just a little girl that everyone dotes on. Little Black began to tease Ilya again. I still have Big Brother. Big Brother came to send me off today, Ilya said, unwilling to admit defeat. Oh, is that so? Isn't Big Brother sending Mayu off and also sending you off? Little Black narrowed her eyes and looked at Ilya. Hey, this was Mayu who was innocently dragged into this. No way, Little Black is an idiot. Accompanied by the noise, the three entered the school together. Thank you very much, Mr. Wuming. Alice Phil bowed to Wuming to express her gratitude. Wuming waved his hand. Madam, you don't have to do this. Whether it's Little Black or Ilya, they are the same as Mayu. They are all my sisters. This is what I should do. Also, even if I call you, you will come back, right? Then Wuming turned and left. You're right, Mr. Hyunryong. I'll be counting on you from now on. Wuming stretched out a hand and waved without saying anything. Chapter 258. After a few days, Rin and Osaka and Livia confirmed that Little Black was harmless, and Rin and Osaka resumed his inspection of the ley line. After all, his initial goal was to infuse mana into the ley line to detect any abnormalities. After infusing mana, Wuming's return and the backlash from the ley line's mana caused Little Black to appear. Now was the time to solve the ley line problem. Rin and Osaka found Wuming and wanted him to accompany him. How should I put it? After all, you're the most capable one among us. It's safer with you around. These were Rin and Osaka's exact words. Wuming wasn't too interested in this, but if there was a problem with the ley line, he would have to spend money, and Winterwood City wouldn't have it easy. Therefore, Wuming followed Rin and Osaka to the big hole in Yuzong Mountain. Fortunately, the previous collapse only buried the entrance, and the interior wasn't too damaged. After clearing the entrance, Wuming and Rin and Osaka entered the big hole without much trouble. After choosing the location, Rin and Osaka set up a series of instruments and began to inspect the ley line. After chanting a series of incantations, Rin Enbin tossed a burning gem onto a piece of parchment that was placed on a rack. In an instant, the parchment began to burn in a regular pattern from where the gemstone had fallen. A strange map appeared. It was a plain map of Winterwood City's ley line. What? Rin and Osaka said in disbelief. Wuming walked over to take a look, and found that on the thickest ley line, there was a small square flaw. Is that the mirror realm? Wuming said uncertainly. Yes, without a doubt, this is the mirror realm of the class card. Rin and Osaka said solemnly. The 9th class card? Wuming said thoughtfully. Logically speaking, that class card shouldn't exist. Shiro Amiya from Mayo's world used 7 class cards to send Mayu to this world. Including Wuming, there were a total of 8 class cards. From what Wuming knew, there were 9 class cards created by Ainsworth. King Arthur's Saber, Cuculin's Lancer, Hero King's Archer, Medusa's Rider, Demetrius's Caster, Hassan's Assassin, and Hercules and Lancelot's Berserker. Lancelot's card had always been kept by Sakura Madu. At that time, Sakura thought that the card given by Julian was Gilgamesh's card, so she didn't have time to use Lancelot's card before Shinji Madu knocked her unconscious. Shiro Amiya's card was originally a useless one. Because of an accident, it connected to the future heroic spirit on the heroic spirit throne, which was the heroic spirit that Shiro Amiya transformed into in a parallel world. The Holy Grail ritual only required 7 class cards, and Wuming himself was considered a stowaway. Therefore, Wuming really couldn't figure out why there was another class card. Well, with you as an extra caster class card, I'm almost used to having a few more class cards. Rin and Osaka said somewhat dispiritedly. Do you hate the trouble? Wuming said rather helplessly. Wuming could naturally see that the reason why Rin and Osaka was so dispirited was naturally because there was one more class card that needed to be recycled. That's for sure. Let's not talk about the Great Master's request for us to analyze the class cards. Even I don't have much confidence in this additional 9th card. Wuming also had a dignified look on his face. Rin and Osaka was right. This class card must have appeared around the time when other class cards appeared. So after a month, This card had absorbed a lot of mana from the ley line, and its own strength was almost comparable to a real servant. If this class card was a first-class card, then it was likely to have evolved to the strength of a first-class servant. If Wu Ming's original body was here, Wu Ming naturally didn't need to be afraid. However, the current Wu Ming was just a clone of Wu Ming's original body that was projected in this world after the root fell asleep. Naturally, his strength was greatly weakened. As for the recycling of this class card, leave it to me. I don't need the help of you, including Ilya and the others. Rin and Osaka struggled a few times, and then he was relieved. That's right. Even the recycling of the previous class cards required your help. This time, even if we participate, I'm afraid we will only be a burden. Wu Ming smiled and then comforted Rin and Osaka. Don't be so pessimistic. I still know a little about the analysis of class cards, and I should be able to help you. Although Wu Ming could directly use his skills to create class cards, the class cards that he created had a time limit, and it must be a class card that had been analyzed before. Because of this, Wu Ming knew a little about the structure of class cards. It had to be said that Julian was really a rare genius in 100 years, or even 1,000 years. He modified the most basic replacement magic, and made it extremely powerful. Even the power of heroic spirits could be replaced. Unfortunately, Julian was almost completely corroded by the black mud. Now there was no hope for him. Really? You really know the structure of class cards? Rin and Osaka's eyes lit up as if he wanted to devour Wu Ming. He stared at Wu Ming covetously. I know a little. After the recycling of the last class card, I will help you analyze it. Wu Ming waved his hand to calm Rin and Osaka down. Actually, you only need to help me analyze it. You don't have to care about Livia. Rin and Osaka had a fawning expression. Let's talk about this later. Let's go back and tell Ilya and the others about the class cards problem and prepare for the recycling. As he spoke, Wu Ming began to walk toward the entrance of the big hole. I still think it's better not to tell Ilya and the others. With their personality, they definitely won't let you take the risk alone. Rin and Osaka followed behind Wu Ming and expressed his opinion. Wu Ming shook his head. Although that's the case, don't forget that with their observational skills, they'll definitely notice something abnormal. Ignoring Ilya for now, Mayu is my younger sister. She's been with me for 5 years. She'll definitely notice anything that I do. Now that you mention it, it does seem to be the case. Rin and Osaka nodded. Then Rin and Osaka asked again. Right, the class cards mirror world is deep underground. How are you going to go down? Do you need my and Livia's help? I'm going to use brute force. Brute force? Rin and Osaka was confused. Yes, we will use high-density magic to dig underground until we reach the mirror world. Rin and Osaka was speechless. Leave the opening of the tunnel to us. Rin and Osaka wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. As expected, heroic spirits were a bunch of weird existences. Chapter 259. Wu Ming and Rin Enbin went their separate ways. Wu Ming returned to the Shoyu residence while Rin Enbin went to Livia's house to discuss the matter. As for Blackie, because he had a heart-to-heart talk with his mother, Alice Field, a few days ago, he moved out of Wu Ming's house and returned to his own home. Although Ilya still looked unhappy, anyone could tell that she was very happy. Wu Ming returned to the Shoyu residence. As soon as he entered the house, he saw Mayu looking at some photos with great interest. They were photos taken a few days ago when Wu Ming and Mayu went to the beach together. They were basically photos of Wu Ming and Mayu. As for who took the photos, it was naturally Collis. You've been looking at them for a few days. Haven't you seen enough? Wu Ming realized that Mayu did not notice Wu Ming and hugged Mayu from behind. Mayu let out a cute cry. It's its brother Wu Ming. Don't scare me. Mayu blushed and looked at Wu Ming with some resentment. Sama was too engrossed in the photos and didn't notice Wu Ming, Sama's arrival. Sapphire explained. Wu Ming let go of Mayu and sat beside Mayu. He patted Mayu's head. Don't be too attached to these photos. This kind of life will continue. I will also often look at the sea with you. So, you must always let me see Mayu's smile. I know, brother Wu Ming. Mayu smiled and enjoyed Wuming's patting. Suddenly, Wuming's phone rang. Wuming picked up the phone and heard Rin Enbin's voice. There's an enemy attack. Something happened to Livia. What's wrong, brother Wuming? Mayu looked at the serious Wuming and asked. Something happened to Livia's house. Something happened. Moving forward in the timeline, Rin Enbin, who had parted ways with Wuming, arrived at Livia's house and instantly realized that something was wrong. Livia's house was set up with a barrier. As long as one was outside the barrier, no matter how one looked, the interior would not change. As a first-rate magician, Rin Enbin was naturally able to detect a trace of mana emanating from the barrier at such a close distance. He pushed the door open and walked in. A series of explosions and sounds of fighting came out of the mansion. Damn, there really is an enemy attack. Then Rin Enbin took out his phone and called Wu Ming. There's an enemy attack. Something happened to Livia. With that, Rin and Osaka hung up the phone and rushed into the house. As soon as he entered the house, Rin Enbin noticed that the battle was happening in the living room. Therefore, Rin Enbin entered the mansion through another small door. Then, Rin Enbin came to the living room and saw the battle through the side door. Livia was standing in a corner, looking at a purple-haired tomboy with a serious expression. The tomboy was fighting with a white-haired, white-bearded, and bespectacled old man wearing a steward's uniform. Wuming had seen this old man before. He was Livia's steward, Ogiest. The tomboy was Bazette, who wanted to take back Wuming's rank card. Damn, why did it have to be this guy? If it wasn't for Wuming, I don't think all of us could beat her. Rin Enbin said in frustration. He then took out a few gems and threw them at Bazette's back. In an instant, a large explosion occurred. Although they couldn't beat Bazette even if they worked together, Rin Enbin didn't want to beat Bazette. After all, Rin Enbin had already notified Wuming. As long as we can delay until Wuming arrives, it'll be our victory. With this thought in mind, Rin Enbin tossed a few more gems into the smoke of the explosion. Another explosion occurred. Rin Enbin, why did you come out? Looking at Rin Enbin who appeared to attack Bazette, Livia said with some annoyance. I've already notified Wuming. He'll be here soon. Rin Enbin took out a few more gems and prepared to shoot them at Bazette. Wuming? You guys are quite confident in this person. Although I don't know who this person is, and I don't know if he has the ability to defeat me, you don't have to worry about that because... Bazette's voice pierced through the smoke. Bazette waved his hand, and a gust of wind blew the smoke away. I can defeat all of you before he arrives. TSK. Looks like he's going to use his true strength. Be careful, Livia. Rin Enbin said with a frown. Of course I know. You better take care of yourself. Rin Enbin. Livia also had a serious expression on her face. However, she didn't forget to bicker with Rin Tozaka during the battle. This wasn't something to be praised. Immediately after, Livia, Ogiest, and Rin Enbin surrounded Bazette and started a 3-versus-1 battle, but they were suppressed instead. Wuming opened the teleportation door and brought Mayu and Sapphire to Livia's house. Coincidentally, Ilya, Blackie, and Ruby also arrived at Livia's house. Ilya, Blackie, did you guys also receive a call from Sister Rin? Mayu asked when she saw her friends. Ilya and Blackie shook their heads. We just heard an explosion in Sister Livia's house, so Ruby, Blackie, and I came out. Did Big Brother and Mayu get called over by Sister Rin? Ilya answered Mayu's doubts and asked a question while she was at it. Well, Sister Rin just called Brother Wuming, saying that there are enemies attacking. Livia and Brother Wuming directly used Brother Wuming's magic teleportation door to bring Sapphire and me here. Mayu said with some fear. Because Mayu had never experienced a teleportation door, so when Mayu entered the teleportation door, she felt a bit uncomfortable with the teleportation door's black hole. Let's go in quickly. Wuming was a bit worried about Rin Enbin and Livia's safety. Enemies that could make Rin Enbin send out a distress signal. Whether the two of them could hold on was another matter. Ilya and the others also nodded. Then Wuming pushed open the big iron door and walked in. The glass on the lower floor was completely shattered, and it looked like a villa that had been attacked by terrorists. Boom! A terrifying loud sound came from the villa. Fear the one with wings. Evil people and powerful people are all afraid of me who have wings. My wings will bring you a curse. Evil people can't hit me. Wu Ming chanted the words of the phoenix incarnation. Following a burst of illusory body, the afterimage left behind on the spot gradually disappeared. Wu Ming disappeared in front of Ilya and the others. This was a phenomenon of excessive speed. Ilya, may you Blackie, I'll go in first. The three of you be careful. At this time, Wu Ming's voice came from the void. So fast. This was what the three of them were thinking. Chapter 260. Wu Ming activated lightning speed and instantly arrived at the villa's living room. As soon as he entered the hall, what entered Wu Ming's eyes was a dilapidated scene. Livia's butler, Ogiest, was knocked unconscious and leaned against a sunken wall. Livia was held by the neck by Bizet and hung up. Rin and Osaka was lying on the ground, but from the expression on his face, it could be seen that Rin and Osaka had been trying to stand up. Seeing Wu Ming came, Rin and Osaka simply gave up the idea of standing up. Really, you finally came, we almost couldn't hold on. Rin and Osaka was lying face down on the ground. His voice was muffled. What do you mean almost couldn't hold on? We couldn't hold on. It's all your fault, Rin and Osaka. Why did you come out so early? Maybe we could have held on a little longer. Livia was held by the neck and weakly complained. Seeing you guys so energetic, I really don't know why I rushed here. Seeing Rin and Osaka and Livia still so energetic, Wu Ming waved his hand with a slight smile. Then Wu Ming looked at Bizet rather seriously. So Bizet, you can let go now. Bizet immediately let go of Livia and faced Wu Ming in a serious posture. Ever since Wu Ming's arrival, Bizet's entire body tensed up. After Wu Ming saw that the enemy was Bizet, he could almost guess what was going on. It was nothing more than some small tricks from the clock tower's higher-ups. For these higher-ups, Wu Ming decided to go back and have a chat with them. Didn't they like heroic spirits and servants? Wu Ming will let them like it. For Bizet, the enemy in front of him was the Wu Ming that Rin and Osaka and Livia spoke of. Although he didn't know why this servant appeared here, and he didn't know why it had such a good relationship with Rin Enbin and the others, it didn't prevent Bizet from knowing that Wu Ming was an enemy. However, to Wu Ming, there was nothing to fear from Bizet. As long as Bizet was not allowed to use the backlight sword, he would not be a threat to Wu Ming at all. Wu Ming wasn't a sure kill method, but he had plenty of methods. No matter how bad it was, he could still use force to subdue Bazet. I almost forgot that I didn't tell you my name. For you, the name Wu Ming might not be enough for you to remember. Wu Ming looked at the unusually vigilant Bizet and smiled. Just as he was about to introduce himself, Bizet interrupted him. The great sage who taught the most ancient king, the Uruk Hienryong. Bizet's eyes shone. Wu Ming was a little surprised. I didn't expect that after a short period of contact, you could actually guess my real name. This is worthy of praise, but... Wu Ming's magical power suddenly erupted, and the originally broken floor directly turned into powder. A large number of Lune runes quickly wrapped around Wu Ming's body. This was Wu Ming using Lune runes to strengthen himself. His master, Skaha, often did this because it was more convenient. Bizet, who had a little knowledge of Lune runes, understood the meaning of these runes at a glance. All of them are power. Yes, Wu Ming used a large number of Lune runes that represented power to strengthen himself. For Bizet, who also used Lune runes to strengthen his hands, after a large number of Lune runes enhancement, Wu Ming's physical strength had reached an incredible level. For ordinary people, as long as they were touched, their body would instantly shatter. If it was a magician, although it's not as good as the giant incarnation, but I'll be gentle. If you are hit, your life or death is up to fate. Wu Ming finished and disappeared. In a flash, Wu Ming, who had not yet exited from the lightning speed state, instantly appeared behind Bizet. What? Bizet gritted his teeth and frowned. With such a fast speed, even she could only catch a trace of shadow. She only saw Wu Ming lightly throwing a punch, and the fist fell on Bizet's body. Bang! Bizet was heavily hit by Wu Ming, and was directly hit out of the hall by Wu Ming. With Wu Ming as the center, the entire floor was completely shattered. Even Livia's villa began to shake. The impact of Wu Ming's fist broke the supporting structure of Livia's villa. If it wasn't for the magic protection of Livia's house and Wu Ming's deliberate mercy, Livia's villa would have collapsed. Wu Ming put the Phoenix Incarnation and the Enhanced Strength Lune runes in contact, and then picked up 3 stones from the ground. Wu Ming's hand gently touched the stones, and 3 lune runes full of vitality were engraved on the stones. Wu Ming threw 2 stones to Livia, who was weak but could still stand. Livia hurriedly caught the stones and looked at Wu Ming in confusion. These are the lune runes that represent life. You can use them by injecting magic into them. You can use one first, and the other one is for Ogiest. Thank you, Wu Ming, Livia said sincerely. Wu Ming was a little surprised. I didn't expect Miss to have such a frank side. After all, Livia could be very arrogant. It was difficult for her to say a word of thanks. The people of the Heartfelt family naturally repay kindness. As the next head of the Heartfelt family, I naturally can't disgrace the family. Livia instantly became arrogant again. After thanking him, Livia walked toward Ogiest. Ogiest had been in close combat with Bazit, so he had suffered a lot of damage. Compared to Livia, who could still move, Ogiest, who had fainted, undoubtedly needed it the most. Wu Ming didn't care about her, and walked toward Rin Enbin. You finally came. I can only say that you're worthy of being called you. You can even subdue a monster that can fight a servant. Although Rin Enbin said weakly, Wu Ming could sense that although Rin Enbin's body was seriously injured, his magic was still sufficient. His inability to stand was only caused by physical injuries. You heard what I said to Livia just now. Hurry up and use it. Wu Ming said as he handed the stone engraved with lune runes to Rin Enbin. I got it. You should go take a look at Bazet first. That guy is known as a monster. Maybe he's still alive and kicking. Although Wu Ming deliberately showed mercy, Wu Ming's punch was not that easy to take. Wu Ming estimated that Bazet might be paralyzed on the ground now. Yes, I know, Miss Rin. However, because of Rin Enbin's eagerness, Wu Ming prepared to go and see. Chapter 261. Wu Ming walked out of the hole in the wall that was created when he hit Bazet. After coming out, Wu Ming saw Ilya and Little Black who had transformed. One was squatting on the ground looking at Bazet, and the other was looking around vigilantly with Mayu who had also transformed. After all, they didn't know if there were other enemies around. Bazet was lying on the cracked and sunken ground, constantly struggling to stand up. Wu Ming said whether he could survive or not just to scare Bazet. Wu Ming controlled his strength very well. He just broke Bazet's spine and other parts of Bazet's arm and leg bones, but he didn't kill Bazet. That caused Bazet to be unable to move normally. However, Bazet was worthy of being called a monster by Rin Enbin. Most of his bones and spine were broken, but Bazet was still able to stand up. I really have some doubts about whether you are a human, Bazet. Wu Ming looked at Bazet with admiration. No matter what, such an opponent should be respected. Ilya, Mayu, and Little Black took 2 steps back and looked at the magician who didn't look like a human. Since you now know that I am on their side, then do you still want to seize all the cards? Wu Ming wasn't in a hurry to deal with Bazet. Instead, he talked to him. The higher-ups didn't expect that there would be a servant to stop them. The mission has changed. I need to ask the higher-ups for instructions. Although his bones were broken, Bazet seemed to have used some special method to block the pain. Although his body was a little embarrassed, Bazet didn't seem to feel any pain. He was very calm and talked to Wu Ming. You don't need to ask the higher-ups. I will go directly to them. You can stay here. After that, Wu Ming activated Heaven Lock. Golden spatial ripples appeared around Bazet, and suddenly, golden chains appeared out of nowhere and bound him. The chain that connects the sky and earth of Mesopotamia? Bazet seemed to recognize the chain and gave up struggling. Even if she struggled, she wouldn't be able to break free. What's going on, big brother? Ilya asked, somewhat at a loss. That's right. Don't keep us in the dark. Blackie agreed. Wu Ming's big hands instantly pressed Ilya's and Black's heads and rubbed them vigorously. You still have class tomorrow. This is your punishment. Hurry up and go back to sleep. Sob, Little Black and Ilya sobbed. Wuming let go of Blackie and Ilya, and the two began to complain. Really, big brother is so rude. Ilya rubbed her hair that was messed up by Wuming with a red face and complained while looking at Wuming. Also, why is Mayu fine? Blackie's face was also red as he pointed at Mayu, who was standing beside Wuming. Me? The little companions who were implicated looked at the two in a daze. Yes, that's right. Mayu also needs to be punished. Hehehe, then let us punish her. Then Ilya and Blackie looked at Mayu with an evil expression and walked toward her step by step. Wait a moment. Wuming took 2 steps back in a panic. Bang, bang. 2 knocks sounded. Wuming put away the hand that he used to hit Ilya and Blackie, looked at the 2 little Lolas who were hugging their heads, and said, Mayu is much more self-disciplined than the 2 of you. Mayu is such an obedient little sister, so how can I punish her? Only disobedient little sisters can be used to tease. Cough, cough, educate. Sob, big brother is bullying. Ilya looked at Wuming with tears in her eyes. Yes, big brother is bullying. Blackie also learned from Ilya. The 2 of you. Wuming shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Then he used his finger that was infused with magic power to poke their foreheads. It doesn't hurt anymore. Ilya touched her forehead and looked at Wuming with amazement. It's just a little trick. Hurry up and go back. Ling and Livia are fine. I will tell you what happened tomorrow. Also, when you came out, you must not have explained to Sela and the others clearly. She must be worried about the 2 of you now. Wuming reminded. Not good, Blackie, let's go back quickly. Ilya pulled Blackie's hand and hurriedly ran back. Don't pull me, Ilya. At this moment, Rin and Osaka, Livia and Livia's butler, August, who had already recovered, walked out of the house. Sister Rin, Sister Livia, Grandpa August, are you okay? Seeing the few people who were in a sorry state, Mayu ran over and asked worriedly. Although she knew that her brother Wuming said that they were fine, Mayu still couldn't help but worry. We are already fine. Thanks to the Lune Stone provided by Wuming, the effect was unexpectedly good. Rin and Osaka said and moved his arm to show that he was now very healthy. After all, their sorry state was only because their clothes were dirty in the battle. The injuries caused by the battle had already healed. Thank you for your concern, Mayu. We are fine. Now, we need to pay attention to the problem of how to deal with this. Livia finished speaking and looked at Bazette, who was tied up by Wuming's heaven lock. Bazette closed his eyes and looked like he was waiting to be slaughtered. At this moment, Wuming expressed his opinion. Regarding this matter, I will personally go to the clock tower to deal with it. Bazette will stay in the Shoyu residence. However, not only Rin and Osaka and Livia, but even August and Mayu could sense that when Wuming said that he would personally deal with it, his eyes became very scary. However, it was also very reliable. Having a reliable partner is really reassuring. Then, I will leave it to you, Wuming. Rin and Osaka and Livia looked at each other and smiled. Right, how are you going to sleep tonight? Although the house hasn't completely collapsed, part of the house has been destroyed. How about staying in the Shoyu residence temporarily? Wuming suggested. August, go and check the damage of the villa. If it really can't be done, we will go to Wuming and Mayo's house. Livia ordered her butler. Yes, Mississippi. With that, the strong old man strode toward the back of the villa and began to check the situation of the villa. At this moment, Wuming walked toward Bazette. Wuming, are you going to do something to Bazette? Rin and Osaka asked curiously when he saw Wuming's actions. Yes, I have basically broken all of Bazette's bones. If I don't fix it now, it might leave some hidden injuries in the future. With that, lines of Lune runes representing repair, life, and heal appeared in Wuming's hand and wrapped around Bazette's body. Bazette looked deeply at Wuming and didn't say anything. Then Rin and Osaka asked, by the way, should we postpone the matter of the 9th rank card? Chapter 262. When Rin Enbin brought up this topic, Mayo's expression suddenly changed. Wuming naturally noticed it. Let's talk about this tomorrow. It's already late. Everyone should go back and rest. Then, without waiting for Rin Enbin and Livia to react, Wuming opened the teleportation door and left with Mayu and Bizet. Where Wuming left, a stone engraved with mysterious runes was left there. The stone glowed, and Wuming's voice came from the sky. When you decide to live here, inject magic into this rune stone, and it will open the teleportation door. Mayu and I will go back first. The voice disappeared, and only the runes on the stone glowed. Rin Enbin and Livia looked at each other, and both of them saw the clues in each other's eyes. Seems like Wuming and Mayu have some secret that they don't want us to know. And it's a secret that has a lot to do with rank cards. However, the two's conversation ended there. Then Rin Enbin picked up the rune stone. After this crisis, Wuming's relationship with Rin Enbin and Livia improved. Since they obviously didn't want them to know, then there was no need to ask. When the time came, Wuming would definitely tell them. Just like Rin Enbin and Livia, they usually looked like they were fighting to the death. But when the time came, the two of them could cooperate very well. This was the bond that existed even in the dark magician world. Shoasuki Mansion. Wuming walked out of the teleportation door with Mayu, who was no longer in her transformed state. As for Bizet, she was already thrown into the Shoasuki Mansion by Wuming using the teleportation door. Wuming believed that Bizet wouldn't run away. It should be said that she was trapped in Wuming's magic workshop and couldn't escape. Brother Wuming. Mayu timidly called out to Wuming. Are you thinking about the 9th rank card? Wuming squatted down and looked at Mayu. Wuming once told Mayu that she became a rank card and followed Wuming from another world. However, even if that was the case, there should only be 8 rank cards and the 9th one shouldn't exist. Brother Wuming, could it be? Wuming looked at Wuming worriedly. Wuming naturally understood Mayu's meaning. Mayu was worried that the Ainsworth family chased her to this world. Although Mayu was once called the Holy Grail by the Ainsworth family, and Mayu was also the center of the Holy Grail War, but because of the protection of Wuming and Shiro Amiya, Mayu didn't suffer too much harm, so Mayu didn't show a particularly scared look. Because Brother Wuming is by my side, as long as Brother Wuming is by my side, I have infinite motivation. Mayu had always relied on this idea to fight. It's okay, Mayu. Wuming touched Mayu's head. I will personally retrieve the rank card, and I will do it with all my strength. After all, he didn't know whether this rank card was Ainsworth's bait, but if he didn't retrieve it, it would cause harm to the ley line, so Wuming decided to retrieve the card in a safe manner. I want to go with Brother Wuming. Mayu looked at Wuming with particular determination. I now have the power to fight. Although I am very happy to accept Brother Wuming's protection, if possible, I want to fight with Brother Wuming. Wuming, who had long guessed that Mayu would say this, smiled with some relief. It's good that you have such thoughts, but you have to know one thing, Mayu. If this is a conspiracy of the Ainsworth family, then they will definitely play tricks after we enter the mirror world. As their target, you are the first person to bear the brunt of their protection. This is why I want you to retrieve the card with me. Moreover, if I encounter any traps or accidents in the mirror world, you and Ilya can still support me outside. If we are all turtles in a jar, then everything is over. Wuming persuaded Mayu earnestly. But shouldn't Brother Wuming, the strongest one, be the trump card? Mayu was still a little worried about Wuming. However, Wuming shook his head. It's because I'm the strongest, so if it's a conspiracy of the Ainsworth family, it's better for me to deal with it than for you to deal with it. For the time being, let's not talk about the conspiracy of the Ainsworth family. Except for me. I'm afraid that all of you can't defeat the servant who has absorbed the magic power of the ley line for a month. I know, Brother Wuming. Looking at Mayu, who was a little unwilling, but still nodded, Wuming smiled. Well, I know you are worried about me, but the role you play outside is also very important. Wuming rubbed Mayu's hair and comforted her. I know, Brother Wuming, don't rub it anymore. My hair is going to become a chicken's nest. Mayu protested. Looking at Mayu, who had returned to her original state, Wuming nodded. Then, Wuming hugged Mayu and put his forehead close to Mayu. I will let you live a peaceful life. I swear by myself. Wuming said quite calmly. Well, I believe in you, Brother Wuming. The stars in the sky shone on the brother and sister for a long time. The next morning, Mayu went to Ilya's house and went to school with Ilya. Rin Tasaka and Livia took half a day off and discussed with Wuming. After Wuming's inspection yesterday, although Livia's villa didn't collapse, there were no more bedrooms or guest rooms that could be used. Therefore, after Wuming coaxed Mayu to sleep, Livia and the others went to the Shoasuki residence through the teleportation door left by Wuming. In the living room of the Shoasuki residence, Wuming, Rin Tasaka, and Livia were sitting around a table. On the table was the parchment map that Rin Tasaka had used to detect the ley lines. The mirror world is deep underground. This is a bit troublesome, Livia said. Because it was underground, the mirror world must also be underground. In other words, the mirror world was full of soil, and in order to enter the mirror world, one must be in the corresponding position. In other words, if Wuming wanted to enter the mirror world, he must open up a sufficient space in the underground mirror world. I want to directly dig down and then enter the mirror world to retrieve the rank cards. Wuming waved his hand and said casually, "Stop your weird thoughts. If you do that, the mirror world will only be a space filled with soil." Rin Tasaka said irritably, "First, you have to dig a tunnel, and then open up an underground space at the target location." Rin Tasaka then rubbed his chin and analyzed. "Then I'll call it Livia Salinta Eiderfelt." Livia pointed at herself arrogantly. "Indeed, for a nouveau riche like you, opening up an underground space is nothing." Rin Tasaka looked at Livia with jealousy. There was no helping it. She was rich. Then Wuming, "Have you really decided to enter the mirror world alone?" Rin Tasaka and Livia looked at Wuming. Chapter 263. Wuming looked at Rin Inbin in surprise. "It can't be helped. This is the best choice for now." Rin Inbin sighed. "You're right. Then I wish you good luck. Trust me, even if I die, I won't really die. My real body isn't here. You have to survive." Livia looked at Wuming. "I remember Mayo's birthday is coming up. When we celebrate with her, I don't think Mayu will be happy without you as her brother." During Mayo's stay at Livia's house, Livia accidentally found out about Mayo's birthday because she wanted to know more about Mayu and Wuming's past. "I remember Mayu happily telling me that you celebrated her first birthday with her. The smile on her face was the brightest I've ever seen. You're right. It's almost July 20th. Wuming closed his eyes and recalled the 5 years he spent with Mayu. Every time Mayo's birthday came up, Wuming would throw a fun party for Mayu. Including Mayu, there were only 3 people. Wuming still remembered that Amiya Kiritsuga's death made Shiro Amiya sad for a few days. At the time, it was Mayo's birthday. Shiro Amiya forced a smile and celebrated Mayo's birthday with Wuming. In the end, Mayu saw Shiro Amiya's sadness and made a fool of herself. At the time, Mayo's emotions weren't very rich. But now Mayu had changed a lot. However, because Wuming was also a problematic child, Mayo's emotions were still not at the level of a normal person even after a few years of school life. However, Wuming was lucky to have Rinpochian. If he hadn't met Mayu, if only Shiro Amiya was left to take care of Mayu after Amiya Kiritsuga's death, with Shiro Amiya's personality and Amiya Kiritsuga's teachings, perhaps Shiro Amiya would take care of Mayu like a prop. Well, Wuming felt that Shiro Amiya might not listen to Kiritsugu and take care of Mayu like a sister. That's all for now. Wuming opened his eyes. I'll leave the plan to build the channel to you guys. After speaking, Wuming left as if he didn't care about anything else. It's rare to have time to rest. Let Mayu rest more and enjoy this birthday. Soon it was July 20th, which was right next to the summer vacation. During this period of time, Mayu and the others' primary school life was still as usual. They continued to play and learn every day. However, it seemed that they noticed the slight change in Wuming's and Mayo's mood. Elia and little Blackie didn't stay in their own house. Instead, they often stayed in Shoayu's house. This made Sela complain to Wuming often. However, Alice Field smiled happily and said, "Isn't that great? Mr. Wuming is a good person." On the other hand, Rin Enbin and Livia were wholeheartedly focused on building the channel. It was worth mentioning that perhaps because they were both holy grails, Mayu and Elia's birthdays were actually on the same day. As for little Blackie, who was Elia's other half. It was naturally the same birthday as them. This became a big party for the three of them to celebrate their birthdays at the same time. As Winterwood City wasn't far from the seaside, Wuming, Mayu, Elia, Little Blackie, and the others discussed celebrating their birthdays by the seaside. It was worth mentioning that the quartet who often played with Elia and the others also agreed to celebrate their birthdays by the seaside. But Wuming felt that they were mainly going to the seaside to play. By the seaside, Wuming wore swimming trunks and revealed his muscular upper body. Looking at the few of them who had already started playing around, Wuming turned to Mayu beside him. "Mayu, why aren't you playing with your friends?" Mayu was wearing a fresh and cute swimsuit. Because she wasn't used to it, her face was slightly red. I want to play with Brother Wuming." "It's good that you have such intentions. It's rare for you to have playmates, so hurry up and go play." Wuming nudged Mayu, indicating for Mayu to go over. Mayu looked at Elia and the others who were waving at her, then looked at Wuming and nodded with a smile. "Okay then, Brother Wuming, see you later." With that, Mayu ran toward Elia. As expected, Mayu has become very close to a normal person. Wuming crossed his arms and nodded. "I really couldn't tell that Lord Hyunryong is actually a siscon." A serious female voice came from behind Wuming. Wuming narrowed his eyes and turned his head to look behind him. "What? I'm not allowed to be a siscon. I have a full understanding of modern human society." Wuming looked at Bazette with displeasure. Fully understanding modern society doesn't mean one has to be a siscon. This was something that Bazette didn't dare to say. "No, I'm just casually saying it. Please don't take it to heart." At this moment, Bazette was dragging a large amount of luggage behind him. "If you're a servant, then do your job well. Do you still want tips?" Wuming said with a smile. However, now Wuming's smile was slightly broken. "Yes, master." Bazette had an involuntary expression and bowed to Wuming. Now, Wuming was Bazette's master, and Bazette was a servant under Wuming. A few days after Bazette attacked Livia's house, Wuming went to Zelika's office and asked for a list of people. Then Wuming visited these people one by one in a friendly manner overnight. After they promised with tears in their eyes, Wuming left after teaching them a lesson. Oh right, these people also gifted Wuming a large amount of rare magic materials. Since they were gifted with great kindness, how could Wuming not accept it? And the reason why Bazette became like this was because of Livia. Livia's family, the Eiderfelts, used the destruction of the mansion as an excuse to pressure these forces. This caused these forces that were robbed clean by Wuming to be unable to explain themselves and could only sell Bazette. All of his credit cards were frozen, and all travel expenses were cancelled. This was Bazette who was scammed by the higher-ups. Could it only be described as evil capitalism? Because Bazette lived in the Shoyu house before the order was issued, Wuming used the threat of eating my food, living in my house, using my money, to force Bazette to work in Wuming's house. Just like this, the penniless Bazette had no choice but to become Wuming's servant. And he was a servant who didn't have a salary and only received tips. It couldn't be helped. After all, Bazette was in debt to begin with. "Then, go put down your luggage. We'll be spending the night here." As he spoke, Wuming took out a large amount of money. "Take this money and use it as your activity fund. If there's any left, use it as your travel expenses." "Yes, master, I'll go now." Bazette took the money. Although his facial expression didn't change much, his somewhat lively tone betrayed Bazette's unstable heart. Although Wuming's Shoyu house's wealth couldn't be compared to the long-established Eiderfelt's family, but in Winterwood City, it was still considered a big local. Naturally, it had this small amount of money. Wuming laid down on the beach chair that was already set up, basking in the sun with a face full of enjoyment. Sure enough, when it's time to enjoy. Summer vacation is the best. Chapter 264. In the end, Wuming didn't get to enjoy the sunlight for long before Little Black pulled him over. "Big brother, it's rare for you to come to the beach. Don't just lie there. Come and play in the water." Yes, I know." Just like that, Wuming was pulled over by Little Black, and they played a game of beach volleyball. Wooming Little Black, Mayu Moriyama Nanakuru were in one group. Ilya, Yujienza Ryuko, Kurihara Tarika, and Gue Mimi were in the other group. Of course, this was the result of drawing lots. Although Ilya was a bit angry that she couldn't be in the same group as Wooming, and was even mocked by Little Black, Ilya still tried her best to play beach volleyball. Although the result was that Wooming's group won. After that, Kurihara Tarika gritted her teeth and tried to persuade her. Alright, it's just a game anyway. Be happy. Today is your birthday, Ilya. That's right, that's right. Moriyama Nanakuru agreed. Be happy, Ilya-chan. The gentle Gue Mimi also tried to persuade her. Although Kurihara Tarika and the others said so, Ilya was still a bit unwilling. Uhuhu, I originally wanted to be in the same group as Big Brother. Not to mention that I couldn't be in the same group as Big Brother. I was even mocked by Little Black. After Wooming's group won, Little Black hugged Wooming and kissed him. Although I can't deny that Little Black is excited, I really can't accept it. Ilya looked at Little Black and Wooming who were playing with each other. She was very disappointed. Tarika looked at Ilya awkwardly. Brother complex is really scary. Speaking of brothers, Tarika thought of Ilya's brother, Shiro Amiya. Speaking of which, why didn't Ilya's brother come? My brother seemed to have said, it's not good for me to go to a birthday party full of little girls. Besides, Mr. Wooming will also go back, and I still have work to do in school. My brother used this reason to refuse to come to the beach. Oh, Ilya is really calm. I remember that Ilya seemed to like her brother in the past. Why did she change to like Mayo's brother now? Nanao Moriyama narrowed her eyes and said in a strange tone. You, what are you talking about? How could I like Big Brother? It could only be said that Ilya was still a child and did not know how to hide it at all. Kurihara Kibana and the others could tell at a glance. I don't think it's a good idea to interrogate Ilya like that, Kurihara Tora said, a little embarrassed. Yes. Gue Mimi, the lowly with a weak sense of existence, also nodded. By the way, aren't you guys interested? Mayu likes her brother a lot. Does Ilya want to steal Mayo's true love and act out a sad love story with Mayo's brother? Nanao Moriyama's words attracted Kurihara Tora's attention, and even Gue Mimi was a little moved. After all, children of this age were especially curious, and it was inevitable for them to have wild imaginations, including Ilya. Love story. Steal Big Brother from Mayu. How is that possible, Nakuri-chan? Stop talking nonsense. Ilya was at a loss and shouted in panic. Does Ilya want Brother Wooming? This was Mayu, who was worried about Ilya's situation and left Wooming and Little Black's team to visit Ilya. Mayu, what are you talking about? I didn't mean that. Now, encountering the person she was talking about, Ilya was a little embarrassed at this moment. If it's Ilya, then it's not impossible. I can share Brother Wooming with you. Mayu considered for a moment and said as if she had made up her mind. Oh, what a surprise, Mayu-chan. He actually wants to share Big Brother Wooming with Ilya. Ilya's little friends were all astonished. What? Did I miss something? This was Yujienza Ryuko, who had just returned from swimming in the sea after playing beach volleyball. There's nothing. Ilya pulled Mayu and ran away. Did I miss something? Yujienza Ryuko looked at Kurihara Tora and others innocently. Bang! Kurihara Tora punched Yujienza Ryuko's head. Yujienza Ryuko's eyes instantly turned into mosquito smoke, and then he instantly fell to the ground. Really? Don't come and make trouble. In the distance, Ilya, who was pulling Mayu and running away, stopped at a large rock and gasped for breath. Ilya? Mayu didn't understand why Ilya pulled her and ran away. She tilted her head and looked at Ilya. That. Tora and others were just joking, ahahaha. Ilya laughed awkwardly. But Mayu still had a puzzled expression. Because it's a little embarrassing. Although I like Big Brother, he's Mayo's big brother after all. Moreover, I liked my own big brother before, so this makes me seem a little unladylike. No. I didn't say that. Ilya explained in a panic. Mayu looked behind Ilya. Little Black walked out from behind the rock. Really, Ilya? Do you have to be so timid? If you love, say it out loud. Little Black looked at Ilya speechlessly. Don't tell me you didn't. Little Black interrupted Ilya's words. Don't try to lie. I was one with you not long ago. I can say that I know everything that you know and think. Little Black was like a general that made Ilya speechless. Mayu looked at Ilya, who lowered her head, and was even more puzzled. That's because Big Brother helped you many times in battle. He even helped you when you were in danger. However, because of this, you gradually fell in love with Big Brother, Little Black continued. This isn't something that's difficult to talk about. After all, it's very easy to conquer a person in such a situation. Ilya, we're still children. We might not have a clear understanding of things like love. You don't have to be so afraid and feel inferior just because you fell in love with Big Brother. I'm sorry, Mayu. Ilya lowered her head. She didn't dare to look at Mayu. However, Mayu only shook her head and held Mayu's hand. I understand Ilya's feelings very well. I remember the first time I met Brother Wuming. Wuming used his warm and powerful arms to save me. From that moment onwards, I felt that I couldn't leave Brother Wuming. Mayu recalled how Wuming had saved her in Frank's house. Mayu revealed a smile that Ilya and Little Black had never seen before. Seriously, what's wrong with you guys? Why aren't you guys here yet? Are you guys chatting about something interesting? At this moment, Wuming walked out from the other side of the rock. Why is Big Brother here? Ilya changed the topic in a panic. Bazette brought watermelons. I wanted Little Black to call you guys over to eat. I didn't expect to be delayed for so long. Wuming pointed at the watermelons placed on the beach and Yujianza and the others who had already started to enjoy them. I'm sorry, Big Brother. I forgot about this because we were talking about something interesting. Little Black stuck out his tongue in embarrassment. That's nothing. I thought something had happened. All right, let's go eat the watermelons. Yes. Chapter 265. Time passed quickly while everyone was playing by the beach. By the time everyone reacted, it was almost late. Okay, everyone go to the house over there. Let's start the birthday party. Yes, the temperature at night by the sea in summer generally dropped a little, which added a trace of relief to the summer heat. As the sun gradually set and the moon slowly rose, Wuming and the others gathered at the dining table. There were countless delicacies on the table. Although they were not made by Wuming, the taste was top-notch. After all, this was made by the chef that Wuming spent a lot of money to hire. In the center of the table was a cake with ice cream and ice. It made people feel refreshed just by looking at it. What a sumptuous table of food. Ilya smiled happily. The changes in her mood caused by what happened during the day had almost recovered at this moment. Of course. This is my shop. Yujian's face was full of pride. That's right. By the way, because this shop was the most popular one around, Wuming also chose this shop. When they found out that this shop was the property of Yujian's family, Ilya and the others were quite surprised. By the way, the chef was hired by Wuming. In short, Yujianza provided the shop, and the delicacies were provided by others. Although Yujianza's father was a little unwilling at first, when Wuming paid enough money, they happily agreed. Wuming couldn't help but sigh at the power of money again. Wuming remembered that Livia was able to make Bazette's higher-ups compromise. Well, even if Bazette's higher-ups didn't give in, Wuming wouldn't let Bazette go back. Not afraid of death, not afraid of pain, beautiful appearance, vigorous skills, and the power to create the backlight sword. She would do whatever the higher-ups told her to do. She was extremely obedient, pure, and so on. In Wuming's view, Bazette was simply a perfect servant. How could he let her go? Ahem, back to the topic. Before starting the meal, Wuming took out the birthday gifts prepared for the three of them. 3 football-sized boxes were tied with pink, blue, and red bows respectively. Thank you, Big Brother, Brother Wuming. The 3 of them appeared to be a little emotional at this moment. Hey, Big Brother, can I open it now? Little Black looked at Wuming expectantly. Of course you can. You can all open it now. After all, it was prepared for you. Wuming waved his hand, indicating that Xiaohei and the others could open it. The three of them couldn't wait to open the packaging and take out the contents of the box. There were 3 gift boxes that were slightly larger than the size of a palm. However, based on their exquisite appearance, they must be very valuable. I personally wrapped these 3 boxes, and the gifts inside were prepared by me without anyone else's permission. Open them and take a look. Big brother, did you make it yourself? Ilya glanced at Wuming and carefully opened the gift box. What entered Ilya's eyes was an exquisite pendant necklace. Naturally, Xiaohei and Meiyo's gifts were also pendant necklaces. The most important places on the 3 necklaces were decorated with beautiful gems. However, Ilya's pendant was mainly pink, Meiyo's pendant was mainly blue, and Xiaohei's pendant was mainly red. The gems were also the same. Wow, so beautiful! Kurihara Norika said somewhat exaggeratedly from across the table. It's really beautiful. The quiet lowly Gue Mimi said with an envious expression. I can only say that as expected of a member of a large family, this gift is very thoughtful. Moriyama Nantorai nodded. Although Wuming didn't stay in Winterwood City for a long time, Wuming used some legal methods to create a Shitsuki family in Winterwood City. To the outside world, it was announced that the Shitsuki residents had moved to Winterwood City. Many people knew about this, so Moriyama Nantorai wasn't worried about this matter. It's not for eating. Bad review, bad review. Bang. Kurihara Norika instantly stepped on Yujienza Ryuko under the table. You idiot, even if you're joking, you have to look at the atmosphere. After Ilya, Meiyu and Xiaohei took out the necklaces, they were all attracted by the beautiful necklaces. However, Xiaohei's eyes turned as she thought of something and looked at Wuming. Big brother, I want you to put it on for me, okay? Xiaohei is too cunning, I want it too. Ilya didn't want to be outdone and said. Wuming looked at Meiyu, who also had an expectant expression, and then agreed. Okay, line up, one by one. After taking the necklace from Xiaohei's hand, Wuming wrapped it around Xiaohei's neck and easily put it on. I love you the most, big brother. Xiaohei instantly kissed Wuming's cheek and shouted happily. Ah. Xiaohei, what are you doing? Ilya said in a panic. This is my thank you gift for big brother. You can do the same. After all, no one said that you can't do this. Xiaohei looked at Ilya provocatively and smiled at her. Ilya walked in front of Wuming and handed the necklace to Wuming. Then, when Ilya was hesitating whether to kiss Wuming or not, Wuming put on Ilya's necklace for her. He left Ilya with a regretful look. Finally, it was Meiyo's turn. Brother Wuming. Meiyu looked at Wuming with a red face. Clearly, she was also wondering if she could be like Xiaohei. Why are you hesitating about this? As long as Meiyu grows up healthily and happily, it will be the greatest thank you gift for me. With that, Wuming put on the necklace for Meiyu. Thank you, brother Wuming, for always being with me. With that, Meiyu gently approached Wuming's cheek and kissed Wuming's cheek. You even did it for Meiyu. Ilya lay on the ground with a defeated expression. Wuming smiled and patted Meiyo's head. This formed the warmest scene between siblings in this banquet. It must be said that after the 3 of them put on the necklace, there was a considerable change. They were originally beautiful people. When they were matched with beautiful accessories, it was no longer 1 + 1 = 2. Instead, it was an even greater number. The 3 of them are so beautiful. I must say that Meiyo's big brother matched them quite well. I think they're very beautiful. Ilya, Meiyu and Xiaohei. As expected, food is a better gift. MHM. Bam. Shut up. Don't make such jokes again. Ha 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 ha. Accompanied by everyone's laughter, they started this sumptuous banquet. Wuming looked at Meiyu, who was laughing happily, and smiled as well. This smile was especially warm. Chapter 266. Although the beach where Wuming and the others were at was very close to Winterwood City, they still stayed in a hotel by the sea that night. After all, it was a birthday party, and Wuming certainly couldn't let the guests run around after the party. Therefore, Wuming, who had a small fortune, booked the entire hotel for everyone to play and stay. The next day, Wuming booked a car and sent everyone home. In the afternoon, Wuming went to Livia's house and asked about the establishment of the underground passage. Because we are only responsible for supporting you. The passage is almost completed. Originally, Livia wanted to build a battle fortress. At the very least, she could arrange the terrain in advance when she fought against the Mirror World's servants transformed by cards. After all, the Mirror World was just a reflection of this world. Except for the fact that there were no people and the color of the environment was slightly different. It was just like the real world. So soon? I thought we would have to wait a few more days. Wuming said with some surprise. We've dismantled all the places that were originally designed as traps, and simply built an underground tunnel that can withstand high impact. If that's all, of course, it can be completed quickly. Rin and Osaka stroked her twin ponytails and explained to Wuming, then asked, by the way, when did you decide to retrieve the card, so we can be prepared? Yes, even if we don't go into the mirror world with you, we still have to be prepared. This card that has been absorbing for nearly 2 months may evolve into something we can't imagine. Even if you are a servant, Wuming, you can't be careless. Counting from the first job rank card, from Wuming's departure to Little Black's separation from Ilya's body, Bazette's attack on Livia's family, and Livia's secret relationship with Rin Inbin, Mio, Ilya, and Little Black's birthdays were almost 2 months away. In the worst-case scenario, this class card was a monster that had been absorbing leyline magic for 2 months. It had to be said that Rin and Osaka and Livia were very thoughtful. When Wuming dealt with the most difficult berserker, it took almost a whole day. Although Hercules was strengthened by the black mud, and Wuming was limited by the body of a servant, it was enough to see how difficult it was to deal with a card transformed into a servant. Even if the 9th card was Assassin, after absorbing the magic power of the Earth Vein for nearly 2 months, its power would become extraordinary. In short, this class card was very difficult to deal with. Wuming thought for a moment, then looked at Rin and Osaka and Livia. Let's do it tomorrow. Rin and Livia looked at each other, then nodded to Wuming. After returning to the Shoasuki house, Wuming saw Mayu waiting for him as soon as he entered the door. Welcome back, brother Wuming. Mayu smiled and looked straight at Wuming. Wuming froze for a moment, then walked in front of Mayu and touched her head. I'm back, my lovely sister Mayu. Looking at Mayu's face, Wuming felt very relieved. Brother Wuming, I made dinner, let's eat together. Although Wuming often cooked at home, it didn't mean that Mayu didn't know how to cook. On the contrary, Mayu's cooking skills could be said to be deeply Wuming's inheritance. If Mayu worked as a chef in a restaurant, then the restaurant would definitely make a lot of money. Of course, Wuming certainly wouldn't allow it. A magical girl becoming a chef? Are you kidding me? Oh, then I must taste it well. I haven't eaten much during this time. The servant's body only needed magical power. Wuming usually ate out of habit. In the dining room of the Shoasuki house, Wuming tasted Mayu's dishes. It's delicious. It seems that Mayu will grow up to be an excellent and beautiful bride. Bride. Can I really become a bride? At the moment, Mayu seemed a little uneasy. Wuming, who was very familiar with Mayu, naturally knew what Mayu was thinking. Don't worry, Mayu, your brother will protect you for a lifetime. Modestly speaking, if my main body is here, even the suppression will have to give in to me. Although she didn't quite understand what suppression was, since Brother Wuming said it must be a powerful character, Mayu thought. Brother Wuming has always been so powerful, and has always been so reliable. Looking at Wuming's rather proud expression, Mayu, who was originally a little depressed, was also amused by Wuming. That's why Mayu just needs to be happy. Otherwise, as her older brother, I would be neglecting my duty. Looking at the short black hair that covered her blonde hair because of the use of magic, and then looking at Wuming's pale golden pupils and Wuming's handsome face that didn't want to live for a long time, Mayu's beautiful face showed a beautiful smile. Now I feel that it's really a miracle to be able to be Brother Wuming's sister. Ha! Why do you suddenly say that? Wuming was somewhat puzzled. Nothing. Mayu looked at Wuming and continued to smile. Although he was still somewhat puzzled, but I'm also very happy, Mayu, to be able to be your sister, to be your brother. Although it seemed like nothing major happened between the two, Wuming knew that his relationship with Mayu had improved. The next night Wuming, Mayu, Blackie, Ilya, Rin Enbin, and Livia all gathered on the beach. Because Livia and Rin Enbin detected that the location of the 9th class card was under the beach near the sea, Livia directly let her construction team rent the nearby beach for construction. When Wuming, Mayu, and the others held a birthday party together, Wuming chose another beach, so Wuming and the others didn't let the construction dampen their spirits. By the way, Livia's house that was destroyed by Bizet had already been repaired. Let's go, this should be the final battle probably. Rin Enbin's final words at the end made the originally stressful atmosphere relax a little. Rin is right after all, there are already 2 extra cards. We can't rule out the possibility of other cards. Livia explained. Don't worry, this is indeed the final battle. After this battle, I will tell you the origin of the class card, as well as the secrets of me and Mayu. We have been waiting for this for a long time, big brother. When the time comes, you have to tell me properly. Blackie hugged Wuming's arm and acted coquettishly. Could it be that everyone already knows that brother Wuming and I are hiding something from you? Mayu looked at everyone in disbelief, as if they should have known. After all, we have lived together for such a long time. Naturally, we have already noticed that big brother and Mayu are hiding something. Ilya touched her head a little shyly. Sorry, Ilya. Mayu looked at Ilya a little apologetically. It's okay, Mayu. Everyone has things that they don't want to talk about. Ilya. Mayu looked at Ilya rather emotionally. If you don't catch up, we are going to leave. Blackie's voice came from afar. Ilya and Mayu came back to their senses and realized that they were the only ones left. Wait for us. Chapter 267. Starting from the ground, there was a spiral staircase that led to the bottom. Tat-tat-a-dash. Wuming and the others arrived at the bottom of the staircase. After arriving at the bottom, Wuming realized that the space at the bottom was extremely large. The spiral staircase was just a passageway. This is the battle location we designed. Rin Enbin spoke first. Silent wonder surveyed the area in front of him. It was a semicircular cave with a diameter of nearly 100 meters. At a glance, there was nothing in the way of obstructions. This was an area that was created to facilitate Silent Wonder's battle. The walls were made of high-density alloy with a large number of magic runes engraved on them. They were mainly used to support the ceiling and prevent the cave from collapsing during battle. Since they had considered the possibility of a battle, they didn't use high-grade flooring. It was just a simple metal plate. How is it? It should be enough for your battle, right? Livia asked Wuming. It's enough, but it'll take a while. Looking at Wuming, who was not in a hurry, everyone was puzzled. Is there anyone else coming? It's almost midnight. Rin Enbin said. Although they could enter the mirror world at a time other than midnight, it was more stable to enter at midnight. Coming. After Wuming said that, there was the sound of hurried running. A figure rushed down the spiral staircase and jumped in front of Wuming. I'm not late, am I? Bizet. Why are you here? Everyone was shocked. That's right, the person who came was Bizet in a men's suit. Is this your idea, Wuming? Livia looked at Wuming in surprise. Yes. After all, Bizet's combat power is not to be underestimated. With her and you guys here, I can rest assured. For some reason Wuming felt uneasy. Therefore Wuming called Bizet, who was a servant, over. Is she really okay? After all, she was our enemy not long ago. Rin Enbin whispered into Wuming's ear. Don't worry. Since I've already become Master's servant, I'll definitely abide by the rules. Bizet vowed solemnly, speaking with a rather imposing manner. Otherwise, Master will deduct my tips again. I don't have a salary to begin with, so I can only rely on tips to get the funds to go home. Today, I almost blew up the kitchen. Not only did I not get my tips, but my working hours were also extended. In the end, I was even locked up to reflect on myself. Bazet said gloomily. This was also the reason why Bizet didn't appear when Mayu and Wuming were having dinner together. Ahaha, this is really hard work. Ilya laughed awkwardly. All in all, with Bizet here, your safety can be assured. Even if I have to risk my life, I will definitely protect your lives and get the tip. If you want to hurt you, you'll have to step over my life first. Bazette's face was full of "I'm burning up." I think you're just doing it for the tip. Ilya looked at the burning Bazette speechlessly. Looking at the group that wasn't nervous at all, Wuming smiled. Brother Wuming. At this moment, Mayu walked in front of Wuming. You must come back safely. Wuming looked at Mayu's eyes. The determination and trust in her eyes were conveyed to Wuming. I definitely will. I haven't eaten enough of the food Mayu cooked for me. Yo, FGLA stood up. Then I'll be right back. Wuming walked to the center of the empty space underground and waved his hand with a smile. Teleportation begins. With Colos's voice, the magic circle wrapped Wuming, and Wuming disappeared. Wuming opened his eyes that were closed because of the white light at the moment of teleportation. He was moving toward the mirror world, surrounded by a strange space. A virtual space? Wuming said. This was a space that existed on the reverse side of the world, and the mirror world was also on the reverse side of the world, a space that was rooted above the virtual space. Aaa. At this time, Wuming heard a song, but the sound was quite sad. This is. The moment Wuming heard the song, he felt that his body's function had declined. According to the attributes of a servant, all 6 attributes had declined by 1 level. His strength, durability, and agility, which were originally grade C, had all been reduced to grade D. Other than his mana, which was still grade X, even his luck and noble phantasm had been reduced by a grade, from grade A and A+ to grade B and B+ respectively. Wuming looked at a certain place through mana perception. Unfortunately, Wuming only vaguely saw a figure with big horns before he was teleported away. Wuming appeared in the underground cave's mirror world. Just now, who was that? Wuming thought about the figure he saw just now. With just a song, Wuming's attributes were reduced. Although he was a servant, being able to reduce Wuming's attributes showed how powerful he was. If my main body was here, I wouldn't be afraid of that guy. Unfortunately, I'm still sleeping inside my origin. Wuming said regretfully. After all, regardless of whether it was an enemy or an unknown thing, Wuming was interested in that figure. However, things seemed to be a little bad now. Wuming looked at the huge magic fog that was still spinning in the center of the cave, and a berserker's roar came from it. This is a little bad. After all, facing a powerful enemy, Wuming's attributes were reduced. No matter how one looked at it, Wuming was at a disadvantage. Such a huge magic fog that can be used as both a spear and a shield. How much magic did this guy absorb? Wuming frowned. Although it was still not as powerful as Wuming's magic, this magic fog was indeed quite large. I hope he wasn't stained by the strange black mud. While Wuming was talking, the card servant in the magic fog launched an attack. Swish. 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 5 or 6 iron whips formed by the magic fog viciously lashed at Wuming. Boom! The floor was smashed. Wuming jumped up, floated in the air, and then took out a silver holy sword from the golden ripples that appeared beside him. I'll accept the greeting gift. Now it's my gift to you. Stars hidden in the world. Holy sword that annihilates all evils. There is no need to cover your light anymore. Shine. The broken holy sword turned into a silver dragon-shaped light beam and rushed toward the magic fog that was constantly spinning. Silver Meteor. That you're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.